Hey, John Mayfield, the real estate tech guy. Thank you so much for joining. We are going to talk about the Condominium Act for Virginia. Now, I did this on Saturday. My first video had echo, and the second video had a lot of skips and really weird things going on. I think everything is broadcasting loud and clear this time, so my apologies. I've taken that video off and we're redoing it today. And again, we're going to talk about the Virginia Condominium Act. And so I've got some information on the slide and we will go through some of this information. Now, there are 4 to 5 questions on the Virginia state portion of your examination that come from this section here. And I think most of it will be very self-explanatory. There are some things you have to do whenever you sell a condominium in Virginia and in many states, actually, that we will look at. And you're probably asking the question or want to know, John, we talked about condominiums in the national portion of the exam. Do you mean there's more information? And the answer is yes. If you are in Virginia, you have to provide what is called a kind of a report card, but it's actually called the resale condominium certificate or a resale certificate. Now, this is for condominiums that are being resold, so they're not brand new condominiums, but if it's a resale, if you are an agent, you have to provide this certificate to a buyer, and a seller needs to help provide this information as well. So a couple of things to just remind us of condominiums. Don't forget, condominium, you are selling fee simple ownership. Fee simple ownership. Remember, it's a freehold estate. Freehold estate means it could go on forever. So if I buy a freehold estate and it's fee simple determinable, the best type you can get, or fee simple absolute, then I have the right to sell property, take a loan out on it. I could lease it. Now, in a condominium, it would depend on the bylaws if you could do that, but you actually get a legal description to your condominium. But the legal description are the inside walls. You are actually buying a block of air. Now, it's interesting. My wife and I just purchased a condominium. We are in the process of trying to sell our home, and once we sell it, we will move to the condominium. We're downsizing, but we actually bought a block of air. We bought from the inside wall, one end of the condominium to the other inside wall. And so there's a legal description that a surveyor has to write or create on that block of air. So if we go back and think about legal descriptions, what type of legal description would best be suited for a condominium? Remember, there are 3 major types of legal descriptions we looked at. Government rectangular survey system, meets and bounds, always begins at the point of beginning and ends at the point of beginning. And we have a lot and block, right? And remember, you can use more than one legal description with a parcel of property. Well, a meets and bounds is the type of legal description normally found with a condominium. It could also be lot 1, block 2, plat C, and then define that block of air that you purchased. But it's a legal description. It's different from a cooperative where you're just buying shares of stock. So in this case, you actually are purchasing fee simple estate, freehold estate, can go on forever. Different than a non-freehold estate, which is non-freehold. It's not real estate. It's a lease. Okay, at some point in time that's going to end. You can kind of see how all of these words and definitions begin to stack on top of each other. And you need to know these for the real estate exam. Now, it's a good quick place for me to plug my digital flashcards you can download at Global Real Estate School. Check those out under the exam prep section. Global Real Estate School students, it's included with your tuition, so don't worry about it. We kind of give you the extra stuff. We give you the audios and the definitions through flashcards, digital flashcards. I give you hundreds of practice exam questions. My daughter, we were just creating some social media, and she said, gosh, how many questions do we actually include with students? And we were thinking about it together, and it's well over 500 exam questions. So you got to know the definitions, though, and you can always purchase those at Global Real Estate School. So meets and bounds always begins and ends at the point of beginning. Ideal for irregular shaped parcels of property. Well, we've got a block of air we're selling, so that is what you would use for the legal description. Now, something else unique about condominiums. I want you to write this down. Write down, John said, as a condominium owner, I own the common areas as tenants in common with the other owners of the condominium complex. Now, let's put our national hat back on from the national material. Tenants in common. See how these definitions begin to all intertwine? People always want to say, I don't get the math. Don't worry about the math. Worry about the definitions. Tenants in common is a form of co-ownership. And with tenants in common, there is no right of survivorship, which means you can leave your portion that you own to your heirs. So my wife and I are buying a condominium. It's a fee simple estate. Freehold interest could go on forever. We can leave it to our children. We can take a loan out on it. We could rent it, but the bylaws in our specific condominium development says no renting, no children under 55. Gosh, am I getting that old that I'm going into a senior development? I think sometimes my wife and I feel like we will be the oldest people there. But anyway, it's all good. It's all okay. We're ready to downsize. But I want you to understand that we have a fee simple interest in this property. It's an ownership interest. And there are common areas, the grass between the condominium units, the parking lot, or the driveways is what I meant to say, the parking lot in front of the swimming pool, those are all common areas. And so we own those as tenants in common, co-ownership, right, with the other 51 condominium owners in this development. And so that's a unique characteristic that I want you to remember there. Now, let's go back over and look at a couple of things, and I have them here. What makes condo ownership unique? Well, we're going to go down and take a look at that. And I've got an example here of, I want you to think about, it's kind of like an apartment complex, and maybe you might have a hallway and an elevator and a pool on the rooftop. Well, those are common areas, and you would own those with the other owners of the development in what is called tenancy in common. Those are common areas. We would own those as tenants in common. Now, think of the fact that there is normally a condominium association or maybe a homeowners association, an HOA. They're going to manage enforcing the rules and maintaining the areas. I have to laugh a little bit because I know the president of the condominium association. He's my brother-in-law. And so, bless his heart, he has to enforce the rules. And, he doesn't like to do that, but somebody has to do that. And so with each condominium association, there is someone that has to enforce those rules. Normally, in a larger condominium project, would probably be a manager, or in a smaller condominium association, could be someone like me. So anyway, but Denny does a great job and handles all of the people in good. They're in good care with him. So he's trying to recruit me for the board, and I'm like, look, I have a real estate school to run, Denny, and I'm not interested in that. But anyway, I got a little tickled in that. So, but I have an example here of Maria. She's buying a 5th floor unit on a high rise. She owns everything inside her unit, her bedroom, her living room, the kitchen. And she also has a co-ownership interest in the lobby, elevator, rooftop pool with her neighbors in the condominium. But she's going to pay HOA fees. Somebody has to pay for the chlorine and the pool and for cleaning the hallways and the security. Some developments have security on site. And so just remember, you own your own unit, fee simple ownership, but you pay a share of the common areas. There's normally an HOA that manages and maintains the shared spaces. And unlike renting an apartment, though, as a condominium owner, you build up equity just like homeowners do in a traditional house. Now, I want to remind you that with a condominium that you purchase, that fee simple is different than a cooperative. And on the real estate exam, if you see John and Carrie purchased a property and they get shares in a corporation and a long-term proprietary lease, that is a cooperative. It's different than a condominium where you have ownership interest, okay? So that's how you can distinguish those. And I'm just telling you here, you'll see a question or two on condominiums and cooperatives. Condominiums, fee simple ownership. You have a homeowners association. You pay monthly fees. You're going to share the other areas of the condominium project, common areas, as co-tenants, as tenants in common. Now, just a very quick reminder while we're reviewing, the reason my wife and I own the pool and the driveways and all of the grass in between all of the units, the reason we're co-owners with the other 51 condominium owners in our development as tenants in common is because there's no right of survivorship with tenants in common, which means we can leave it to our heirs. The other types of co-ownership is joint tenancy, which has right of survivorship. So in the real estate test, when they give you these complex questions about co-ownership, if you can pick out that, well, this co-owner can leave it to their heirs, that's a tenancy in common. If you read through the question and it says, well, it sounds like the other co-owners ended up with this property, then it's a joint tenancy. Now, another type of co-ownership is tenancy by the entirety, and that's husband and wife. Okay, so don't forget those. You will probably see those on the exam. The last section I wanted to cover here is the resale certificate. And this is really like a report card for the HOA or the condominium. And so in Virginia, we have to give this to a buyer within 5 days. You have to give them the information within 5 days. Or let me back that up. The buyer has 5 days after receipt of the resale certificate to really study it, look at it, and decide if they want to go forward or not. Okay, it's kind of like a cooling off period. So what's inside this resale certificate? Well, the financial health of the HOA. I mean, is it financially stable or is it struggling with debt? Some condominiums, they've had to make a lot of repairs and updates, and so there's a lot of HOAs. The monthly fees. How much are the monthly fees? Are there any lawsuits that the condo association might be involved in? And then special assessments. Will the owners have to pay something in the near future? Okay, so that's always kind of a choice there. And if you're hearing my little dog bark in the background, my apologies. It's that time when someone's either walking in front of the house or the UPS person is going by. But what would a Zoom broadcast be without dogs barking, right? So anyway, it's all good. In Florida, and Global Real Estate School offers courses in Florida as well. A couple of years ago, there was a tragic situation where a condominium just collapsed and a lot of people lost their lives. Now, I'm just kind of giving you the recap of what I know to the best of my knowledge, but some of that building had lost its structural capacity due to the salt water in the air. And I don't know about you, but when I go to Florida, I love being next to the ocean, and I love to be able to feel the salt, breathe the smell and the feel of the salt water and the breeze. My skin feels better when I'm in Florida. Just so many great things about Florida. Unfortunately, salt can play havoc on steel and concrete and other things. And these were older buildings. And so Florida passed a law that says all of these older condominium projects need to be brought up to standard to comply so that they don't have this catastrophe again in other buildings. There are a lot of buildings, from what I've been told, in South Florida that are having to put hefty assessments on all of the owners to help retrofit and restructure some of these condominium complexes because they don't meet the specific code that is now in place. Well, if that could also be a situation in Virginia. And so if you get the resale certificate as a potential buyer and you see that, oh my gosh, every person in this complex has a $100,000 assessment to help get the building up to a certain code, you could be responsible for that. Now, many sellers who are reselling will agree to pay for that assessment in the sale of your property, or maybe you will want to renegotiate that fee. But that's something that is very critical when you're moving into a condominium, is to find out these specific issues. And for you as a listing agent, you need to know that so you can cross that bridge up front with your client. But as a buyer's agent, you want to know that for your client, the buyer, so that they won't walk into something that could be a huge issue. I've got some other items in here and some scenarios. And by the way, I'm going to make this available for you in the download on the YouTube channel. So subscribe. That way you can have access to this document as well. And I will be doing all of these recordings for the entire state portion of the Virginia course. For Global Real Estate School students, hey, it's included with your course. So that's why you want to choose Global Real Estate School. Now, if you're not part of Global Real Estate School, we will have audios available for you of this material without the dogs barking in the background, but you might want that. Who knows, just to kind of keep you awake if you're driving your car, right? Or you can listen to these as you drive, but we'll have these available at Global Real Estate School. I had a student call me this morning, and I get these calls almost every week, but I remember this gentleman. He's in Oklahoma. We have a school in Oklahoma, great guy. And he called me today and he said, I just want to say, I didn't end up going to your school. He said, I wish I had, because he ended up going to a live school. But he said, John, I got to be honest with you. If I had not listened to your podcast, watched your YouTube videos, I would have never passed the course. And he said, I want to just let you know I'm going to send future students to your school. He said, I was explaining to people in my course about all the little tips and tricks that you give. And one tip I forgot to tell you is you have a 5-day period. Just think of that 5-day period when you give the resale certificate to the buyer. After 5 days, if you don't back out, you got to close. So a closed fist, right? 5-day period for the buyer. After each one of those days go by, that's hard to do on my right hand. I'll do it over here. Your hand's closed. Not much you can do. You got to go on and close the deal. Okay. So just way to remember that. But he was telling me, I was telling people in my live course about your stuff. And he said, there was only like a couple of us that passed the test. But I know we passed the test because of the way you taught the material. And so he was giving us a 5-star review today, which, by the way, I should put that up right now, and plans to send more people to our school. You know, I said this the other day on one of the sessions I did. I know you could shop around and probably find a course for less money. I mean, you can, okay? But you get what you pay for. Now, these are aids you can buy from us, but they're included as if you're a student at Global Real Estate School. So you don't have to pay for this. But if you didn't go to Global Real Estate School and you want some extra stuff, we have it. It's available for you. But I'm really excited that I can bring you YouTube videos and help you. I'd be more excited if you would just come to my school. I talked to someone the other day who said he took the test 13 times, and he said, I just found you and now I'm studying. And I just thought to myself, and I actually used my calculator, if the test cost you around $60, might be a little more than that, 60 times 13 is $780. My school's not that much, okay? So I guess what I'm saying is this. Yes, you can shop around. You can find it probably for a lesser amount, but do you want to have to pay for the exam? I mean, why don't you just come to Global Real Estate School? Our pass rates are off the chart. I can show you right here. We're doing a great job. We're leading a lot of the bigger conglomerates out there with higher pass rates. But, I'm not here to bash my competition. I'm just here to say our school gives you the tools you need. We've got plenty of questions and audios, and we want to help you pass the test. But if you're not a student, that's okay too. I want to help you out. Just maybe you'll send to your friends and tell them, I should have gone to Global. That's the school you need to go with. And we can help you in Missouri, Oklahoma, Indiana, Virginia, Florida, Utah, Washington, Hawaii, and we power the online portion training partners out of Kansas and for South Dakota School of Real Estate out of South Dakota. So we're approved in 8 states. But we offer the course in 10 states with the help of a couple of friends. GlobalRealEstateSchool.com. You know some information now, Virginia folks, for condominiums. But we're going to keep moving. So subscribe to this channel, and you'll know when I put up another Virginia video. So you can go watch those. I've got a Virginia playlist I put up. Check that out over there. Again, John Mayfield, the real estate tech guy. Go out and make it a great day. Thank you for listening to the podcast for Global Real Estate School. I'm John Mayfield, the real estate tech guy. Go out and make it a great day.